First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizers of the conference for this excellent conference indeed, and for offering the opportunity to be here with you today and share my views on how the Arab Spring events have impacted Jordan. Well, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan has been motivated by the momentous events of the Arab Spring that have swept across Arab countries, and which inspired protests on Jordanian soil demanding economic reforms that would put an end to rising prices, unemployment and poverty. Jordanian protests have been led by the Islamic movement and by popular protest movements. The major differentiation of the Jordanian protests from those in the rest of the Arab countries is that protesters have asked for reform of the current system, not its abolition. In response, the Jordanian leadership has taken practical and speedy steps to unleash a deep political reform process to reflect Jordan's vision of comprehensive reform, modernization, and development. The chief of reform measures was the introduction of the new constitution that came into force in October 2011 and included amendments in 42 constitutional articles that met certain central demands of the protest movement. Most prominent was the establishment of a constitutional court and independent elections oversight commission, and the provision that the dissolution of the government, the parliament, entails the dissolution of the government, and vice versa. A major concession was also the curtailing of some of the king's powers, most notable the revoke of his power to cancel parliamentary elections. It is deemed that these reform measures have not satisfied the opposition overall, most prominently the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood, which has the ability and the political infrastructure to mobilize the streets. Sensing that it is empowered by the events in Libya and Egypt, where the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood has taken over, has come to power indeed, and also by the ongoing crisis in Syria, where the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood reportedly plays a very important and very catalytic role as part of the outside opposition, the movement in Jordan demands for more extensive changes, among others including the abolition of the king-appointed Senate, or alternatively the instead of a Senate appointed by the people, and the enact of a new elections law. So far, refusal of the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood not to participate in government and political decision-making process in general, despite its repeated official invitations, is estimated that it is dictated by the fact that people will start to expect solutions. Once the movement runs government institutions and its members become ministers, then people will start to question their policies and outcomes. Failure to deliver in the context of the actual decision-making process in general may take away some of their legitimacy and popularity, and therefore, so far avoidance to joining government is translating into lack of urgency or need to govern and deliver on that. Jordan has responded instantly to the regional wave of reforms, not only due to the urgency of the Arab Spring events, but also based on its immense experience as a country that has launched during the last decade a number of political and economic reform initiatives. These initiatives faced a major setback due to regional events that have impacted directly the national interest of the country. Most prominent was the 2003 American military campaign against Iraq, and the November 2005 bombing of 3 hotels in Jordan by an armed group of Al-Qaeda based in Iraq that killed 60 Jordanian nationals. Additionally, reform initiatives were impeded by the reality of demographics in Jordan. The Jordanian-Palestinian split in the country has arisen as a result of the forced migration of Palestinians who fled to Jordan, acquired nationality and citizenship. Palestinian fears that the reforms could potentially lead to the stripping of their rights, as well as Jordanian worries that any reform process may lead to the political empowerment of Palestinians, who may attempt to create an alternative Palestinian homeland in Jordan, presented a major setback to last decade's reform initiatives. In other words, for a significant part of the Jordanian society, political reforms and democratization equals Palestinization. However, this is a major challenge. In reality, the two peoples can easily remain united in the struggle for a political system based on justice, freedom, equal opportunities, and individual rights. In a system that restores power to the masses while maintaining Jordanian and Palestinian identities and dealing intelligently with the political reality on the ground, Jordan's people can remain united. Jordan envisions becoming a model of democracy and has an important record on reform initiatives, which were delayed, as I said before, due to major regional events. Notably, the kingdom initiated the Jordan First Al-Awlan campaign in 2002, which attempted to articulate a comprehensive vision of economic and political reforms. The initiative provided the formation of the National Committee to deal with different economic and political issues and debated 5 distinct themes, namely the possibility of establishing a constitutional court, the introduction of parliamentary equality for women, the enactment of anti-corruption measures, the drafting of a new political parties law that with the aim of ending the state of fragmentation among political parties, and the setting of rules to cover relations between civil society, professional organizations, and the state. Equally significant reform initiative was the 2005 National Agenda, a blueprint for political, economic, and social reforms that envisioned approaching the reform process in a holistic rather than a piecemeal way. The Committee of the National Agenda consisted of representatives from political parties, including the Muslim Brotherhood, the Parliament, civil society, women's activists, the media, the government and the private sectors, and reached recommendations in 3 interdependent areas, namely the economic and social policies, basic rights and freedoms, and social infrastructure. In July 2006, the government of then Prime Minister Maruf Wahid assembled a forum of 700 participants over a 2-day period to address the political, economic, and social challenges facing the kingdom. Capitalizing on the findings of the national agenda, participants produced the We Are All Jordan, Jordan document. The document was a clear attempt at political reform and selected a list of its big priorities. The major 3 were loyalty and nationalism, sovereignty of the state and protection of national interests, and national security. The Wahid government showed undoubtedly significant legislative initiative. Specifically, in November 2006, it passed an anti-corruption law that established an anti-corruption committee with broad powers. The law notably included in its definition of corruption actions related to nepotism, wasta. It is that within this context that in today's situation, the Jordanian authorities brought to light corruption cases, with most representative those of former intelligence chief Mohammed al-Dahabi and business tycoon Khaled Shaheen. According to published data, Jordan's former head of intelligence for the period 2005-2008 was sentenced to 13 years in prison on charges of embezzling public funds, money laundering, and abuse of office. As reported, the court in Amman fined him approximately $30 million and ordered him to return the $34 million he allegedly laundered and embezzled while his time in office. The second case of corruption was that of Khaled Shaheen, a businessman convicted in a case related to the Jordan Petroleum Refinery Company expansion project and who served 3 years in prison for bribery. And now I would like to go to the second part of my presentation, and it's related to the crisis in Syria and its potential impact on the kingdom. Well, in the first stages of the crisis in Syria, Jordan adopted a low-profile approach, attempting to maintain open avenues of dialogue with Damascus while denouncing violence against civilians. Upon this line of thought, the king has reportedly said from Amman in August 2011, a secret envoy to meet with Syrian President Assad due to concerns over the accelerating events in Syria and their potential impact on the kingdom. The foremost concern of Jordan is undoubtedly stability in Syria, as there are estimates that a potential power vacuum in Damascus may lead to anarchy, providing a safe haven for militants who pose a direct threat to the kingdom. The historical experience says that during times of heightened tensions with the regime of Al-Assad the father, the kingdom witnessed a spike of attacks by militants who used Syria as their staging ground. Jordan is concerned over the potential impact of the Syrian crisis on the bilateral and regional levels. The kingdom's strategic location, with its long-extended common northern border with Damascus by itself, turns Jordan into a central key player who can determine the outcome of any form of international or regional consensus on Syria. Jordan relies on the same careful diplomatic maneuver and consensus building that has enabled the kingdom weather regional crises in the past. Practically, Jordan stands solidly with any armed international consensus on any resolution that aims at the cease of violence and the restoration of peace and stability in Syria. The kingdom rejects military action as means to restore Syrian domestic stability and security. As events have unfolded, Jordan adopts the stance of active neutrality, the policy of active neutrality. The first part of the policy of active neutrality is a proactive effort to prevent the outbreak of war in the region with the exercise of diplomatic discourse to cement a unified position in the international context. The second part is the attempt of Jordan to turn itself into a safe haven of refugees and a center for political development and settlement, thus minimizing fears that the crisis may undermine the kingdom's own very political stability. Already, the creation of refugee camps across the common border to accommodate Syrians is driven by Jordanian fears of a humanitarian crisis. The United Nations High Commission on Refugees has already proceeded in cooperation with the Jordanian government to the build-up of refugee camps in the northern part of Jordan. While since the escalation of the violence in March 2011, reportedly, officially, more than 500,000 Syrians have crossed the border and fled to Jordan. Over 130,000 have been distributed in camps and received humanitarian assistance, while the rest reside in Jordanian towns and cities. Hosting this large number has resulted in direct and direct challenges for Jordan, for the government of Jordan, especially during a period of severe slowdown in growth and employment rates, and all-time high budget deficits. According to official data from the World Bank, the budget deficit of Jordan is around 7.6%. Challenges are added, for example, on energy, water, and education. On energy, it is necessary to increase electricity generation capacity to cover additional demand for electricity, especially in the northern parts of the kingdom. Greek Electricity Company has proposed a plan as per UN agency's request to provide the whole site of the Atari camp with sufficient power supply. Also on water, providing water and wastewater services have many challenges on existing systems that need rehabilitation and expansion. There's urgent need to finance and implement specific projects in the water sector by the end of 2013, with a total amount of $90 million. On education, to deal with the increasing number of students, a number of schools have to be built to be operational for the year 2013-2014, and the Ministry of Education has identified 10 schools in Matrok to be expanded. Having said that all, it is more than obvious that as Arab Spring events and the crisis in Syria unfold, Jordan has to face multiple challenges, but it is also offering golden opportunity to turn itself into a model and provide a prospectus for a better present, not only for its own people, but for the people of the region. Because, as American historian Alice Early once said, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Thank you.